My husband pressured me into an open marriage postpartum. I reluctantly agreed. He slept around. I started seeing his stepbrother. Husband got jealous, then got another woman pregnant. Stepbrother turned out to be, well, let's find out. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who would ever be in this situation, but here I am, breastfeeding at 3 a.m. with one hand and typing this with the other, hoping someone out there can tell me I'm not crazy. I used to believe marriage was forever. I thought love was enough. 7 years together, for years married, and not once did I ever think Kyle and I would be here. Me in our bedroom with our son asleep in his bassinet, him out God knows where with God knows who, all because my postpartum body couldn't keep up with his needs. But maybe I should start at the beginning. Kyle wasn't always like this. When we met, I was 22 and waitressing at a cafe near campus. He was 25, confident in a way that drew people in without trying too hard. He'd sit at the corner table with a book, order the same caramel latte every day, and smile like I was the most fascinating person alive whenever I refilled his cup. We fell fast. Dates turned into sleepovers. Sleepovers turned into moving in. He loved my laugh. He said my ambition inspired him. He'd leave little notes in my textbooks. "You've got this, future Mrs. Turner." I saved them all. I never saw the red flags back then, like the way he sulked if I went out with my girlfriends too often, or how he joked about my gaining happy weight when I stopped going to the gym. I laughed it off because I loved him. I thought that's just how guys are. When I got pregnant, Kyle was over the moon, or so he said. He rubbed my belly, kissed my stretch marks, told me I was beautiful even when I felt like a whale. But little cracks started showing in those 9 months. He stopped initiating sex around month 6, claiming he felt weird with the baby there. Then he got restless, irritable, always on his phone, smiling at messages he'd lock away the moment I walked in. I should have asked more questions, but I was too tired, too busy throwing up in the mornings and folding tiny onesies at night, dreaming about the family we'd build together. When I gave birth, everything changed. It wasn't easy. 17 hours of labor, an episiotomy, stitches. My body felt foreign, stretched beyond recognition, leaking from places I didn't even know could leak. I cried in the shower the first time I saw my reflection. Kyle was helpful at first, holding the baby, bringing me water, telling me to rest. But as weeks passed, his patience thinned. "Babe, when can we, start being intimate again?" he asked one night as I nursed our son. I stared at him, exhausted and sore. The doctor said 6 weeks minimum, Kyle. And even then, he sighed dramatically, rolling onto his side. "I'm just saying I have needs too. You're not the only one in this marriage." 3 months postpartum, he brought up the open marriage. At first, I thought he was joking. "Babe, listen, it's not that I don't love you," he said, running a hand through his hair. "But you're not in the mood, and I respect that. I can't turn my drive off. This could be good for us. No secrets, no pressure." I felt like I'd been punched. I was bleeding, leaking, barely sleeping more than 2 hours at a time. My nipples were cracked from breastfeeding. My hormones were a mess. And my husband, the man who vowed to love me through sickness and health, was asking for permission to sleep with other women because I couldn't bounce back fast enough. I told him no. He kept bringing it up. "You're being closed-minded. It's only temporary. Would you rather I cheat?" I started doubting myself. Was I punishing him by not wanting sex? Was I selfish? I gave in. Kyle lit up like a kid on Christmas. He downloaded dating apps, spent hours picking out new clothes, started wearing cologne again. He'd come home late, smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. Meanwhile, I stayed home covered in spit up, rocking our son and wondering where I went wrong. Then there was Zach, Kyle's stepbrother. He'd always been kind, but after the baby came, he became my lifeline. He'd drop by with food, help me with chores, hold the baby so I could nap. One evening, after a particularly rough day, I broke down sobbing in front of him. He didn't try to fix me. He just listened. "You're doing amazing," he said softly. "Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise." That night we kissed. It was tender, hesitant, nothing like the hungry, guilty passion I imagined Kyle chasing. For the first time in months, I felt desired, seen, Kyle didn't notice at first. He was too busy scratching his itches. But then he started noticing little things. The way I started putting effort into my appearance again, not for him, but for me. The lightness in my laugh when I'd get a text. The warmth in my eyes that hadn't been there in months. And then he came home early. Zach and I were on the couch, fully clothed, watching TV. My head rested on his shoulder. Kyle lost his mind. "You're freaking my brother?" "Stepbrother," I corrected before I could stop myself. His face turned crimson. "You're supposed to be my wife. I didn't open this marriage so you could be happy." I shot back. That was 2 weeks ago. Kyle moved into the guest room. He keeps alternating between begging me to end things with Zach and screaming about betrayal. "Don't you get it?" he hissed last night. "You're supposed to come back to me. I'm your husband, not him. But the thing is, I don't know if I want to. With Zach, I feel whole again. Cherished, beautiful. And for the first time, I'm asking myself, did Kyle ever love me or just what I gave him?" I used to lie awake at night listening for the baby's cries. Now I lie awake listening for Kyle's car pulling into the driveway, wondering which version of him will walk through the door. The angry one, full of bitterness and betrayal, or the broken one, the man who used to hold my swollen ankles and kiss my belly and swear we'd be different from every couple that falls apart after a baby? The irony is suffocating. This man begged for an open marriage. He begged for freedom because he couldn't handle my postpartum body being too sore, too tired, too unsexy for him. He told me it was only physical, no emotions. But now here he is, staring at me like I'm the monster because I found solace in his stepbrother's arms. I never planned this. God, I never would have even imagined it 6 months ago. But there's something about being broken and alone in the middle of the night with a screaming newborn that cracks you open. Zach didn't wedge himself into the cracks. He just sat beside me in the rubble and held my hand. It wasn't like it was with Kyle in the beginning. With Kyle, I fell hard and fast, swept off my feet by his charm and confidence. With Zach, it was slow, gentle, like realizing you're thirsty after wandering the desert for days and then taking that first sip of cool water. The first time Zach kissed me, I flinched. Not because I didn't want it, but because I wasn't used to someone touching me softly anymore. Kyle's hands had grown impatient over the years, grabbing, groping, demanding. Zach's hands didn't ask for anything. I remember pulling back, whispering, "This is wrong." Zach just looked at me, eyes heavy with something that wasn't pity. Thank God it wasn't pity, and said, "So is being treated like you don't matter." That was the night I realized I hadn't felt like I mattered in a long, long time. Now Kyle's the one crying in the guest room. I hear him pacing, muttering to himself at night. Some mornings he tries to play the loving husband again. He brings me coffee, asks if I need help with the baby. But his eyes are hard when they land on the little touches of Zach's presence around the house. A hoodie left on the back of a chair. A single coffee mug Zach always uses. "You're humiliating me," Kyle said last week, his voice low and sharp like a knife pressed to my skin. "My own brother. You're making me look like a fool." I wanted to laugh. "You made yourself look like a fool the second you thought I'd wait at home like a good little wife while you played bachelor." But I didn't laugh. I just said you wanted this. He didn't answer. The baby's first laugh came on a night Zach was over, helping me fold laundry. Kyle missed it. He was out with one of his temporary connections. When I told him later, his face darkened. So he was here for that too. He didn't ask for details, but I saw the way his jaw clenched. The way he couldn't stop staring at me, like I'd grown into someone he couldn't recognize anymore. Maybe I have. Maybe the woman who sobbed silently in the shower every night for the first 3 months postpartum is gone. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. 2 nights ago, Kyle came home drunk, slamming doors like a teenager throwing a tantrum. I was sitting on the couch, the baby asleep against my chest. "You're not the only one who can move on," he spat, his words slurred. "I have someone too." I didn't respond. I didn't care. Not anymore. But then he said it. "She's pregnant." I froze. "She's 2 months along," he continued, almost proudly. "I'm going to be a father again." My stomach twisted. My mind raced. Another baby? With a woman he barely knows? You're an idiot, I whispered. Don't you dare. No, I cut him off. You begged for this open marriage. You begged for freedom. Congratulations. You got it. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard the baby stirred in my arms. I held my son tighter and whispered, I won't let him do this to you. Or me. But as much as I hate to admit it, Zach isn't as perfect as I thought either. It started small. Little comments. You're lucky I was there for you when no one else was. You don't know how many guys would kill to be in my position. You owe me for saving you from him. At first I brushed it off. He was just venting, right? But then he started getting possessive. He'd frown if I didn't text him back immediately. He hated when Kyle came to pick up the baby for visits, even though it's his legal right. And then, one night, I found his phone unlocked on the counter. There it was, a string of messages to his best friend. She's so vulnerable right now. It was almost too easy. Once she divorces Kyle, she'll be completely dependent on me. My chest went cold. Was this what I was to him? A project? A conquest? A way to one-up his stepbrother? Now I sit here at 3 a.m. again, baby on my chest. Both men sleeping in separate places, Kyle at his fling's apartment, Zach at his own. And for the first time, I feel free. I don't need either of them. I'm filing for divorce. I'm cutting off Zach. I'll raise my son on my own, surrounded only by people who see me as more than a body or a rescue mission. Maybe I'm not the villain. Maybe I'm just finally choosing myself.